Being 7 o'clock, I call the April 3rd, 2017 Planning Board meeting to order. Pledge allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
Roll call, please.
Steve Kennedy,
Yep.
Greg St. Jean,
Yep.
Martha Eldridge. Here. Otterbach,
Here.
Peter Zavas,
In body on it.
Dennis Legendre,
Yep.
Roy Barron,
Yeah.
Condict Billings.
Here. Okay. Everybody read minutes.
Make a motion to accept.
Second. Motion made and seconded. Accept the minutes as read, is written. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. You're up. Well,
Thank you for having me and Rich Faggy from Ossipee. We're here tonight to invite you to a May 5th event at the, it's going to be at the Ossipee Town Hall with the Ossipee Aquifer Advisory Committee. And we're hoping that we're trying to get 1 or 2 or 3 people from each town on this Aquifer Steering Committee that's going to be looking at protecting the aquifer, promoting growth over the aquifer in ways that doesn't harm our drinking water, and bringing all the towns together to look at large regional development. And I thought I would start tonight. I know I don't have much time. You guys are really busy, and thank you so much for having us. But I don't know if anyone's ever seen this model, but we recently borrowed it from Cooperative Extension and found it was a really good tool when we're going to town planning boards. We're inviting towns from Eden, Effingham, Freedom, Madison, Sandwich, Tamworth, and Ossipee to be on this committee. We wanted to show you like how it works, because I know people see the maps and understand here's the aquifer, but sometimes it's easier to understand how it actually works when you look at the model. And I also was reading Ossipee's ordinance from the 80s. You guys were so far ahead of your time. It's quite remarkable that you passed an aquifer protection ordinance back in the 80s. It was before people really even understood this incredible resource that we have. So I just wanted to congratulate you. And really, the next town that protected the aquifer was in 2003, and it was Madison. And the other towns didn't protect it until, I think, 2008. So I hope you guys pat yourselves on the back, because that was pretty remarkable. So I'm going to just show you how quickly things can move through. Karen Deegan normally does this presentation. She's our education person, and she's busy tonight, so I'm doing it, and I've never done it before, so you're going to have to bear with me. She's way better at it than I am. But on May 5th, she's going to do a full demonstration of how this works. And I don't know if folks have seen some of the presentations that have been given by Dr. Robert Newton. He's done some presentations on how the aquifer formed, how it was formed by the glacier. Has anyone heard him speak here? He's going to be there on May 5th doing a short presentation. It's a breakfast, pancake breakfast at 8 o'clock, 8:30. And he's going to speak from probably 9 to 9:20. He's going to show images about how the glacier formed the aquifer. And if anyone's been to, I'm thinking like Alaska, there's some good glaciers, but even just hiking and hunting and walking around the Pine River esker, and folks that work with sand and gravel understand that the glacier came down, and as it receded, there was all this meltwater. And so it left these deposits of sand and gravel, and the gravel tended to be on the bottom, and then it was compacted by sand. And it's not a common aquifer. We're quite lucky that we have it, because it's very productive. There's a lot of water in it, but it also, as you will see, can contaminate very quickly. So this is just food coloring. See, I don't even know, I take the cap off. And with this model, we have to use distilled water because in tap water there are minerals that clog this. So even just this model can become contaminated. So I thought Karen's going to show you what all the different wells are, but this is the leaky landfill. And I know that we have a capped landfills now in the area, but on your town budget you have to pay to have monitoring wells around that landfill. And why is that? Because there's leaching going on. And so this explains and shows. Tell me it's working. Is it going down? Karen, where are you? She didn't tell me this would happen. Yeah, so it's starting to go down. So you can see that, say that's the landfill, that's the stuff that's leaching out. As it rains, the rain is going to come in here and it takes a little while. Her full presentation, it takes like 5 minutes. You can see it going down. And so if you have an artesian well, it's actually below the clay in the actual cobbles. So you can see that's going down.
If I could, Blair, by the way, Blair and I always stand. We found out today that we both have back problems, so that's why we started standing, and we can't sit because it hurts. I'm a resident of Ossipee my entire life and year-round resident. When I was about 10 years old, my dad had me fishing the well that we had in the spring, and he'd want me to go. It's about 25 feet long, and I remember that because we had to put a ladder down there, and I'd fish out rats from the top of it, and then there was muck on the bottom, and I'd fish out the rats from the muck, and I would do that. I think I probably did it 6 times in the spring and in the fall. And that was my first understanding of water and water contamination and things like that. So it should become as no surprise to you. This is a little bit eccentric, but this is actually my water bottle. I filled up in Tamworth at a roadside up on 113. This is Tuesday because normally I fill it up on Sunday. And I wanted to empty it because I didn't want to bring the whole thing up, but where am I going to put it? I put a couple of it in the boiling pot. So I saw this model a couple of years ago at a presentation, and it made me do a water sample. And actually, I brought this from the top of my cabinet. I was supposed to send in my water sample last spring, or last fall, and I completely forgot. So I was going to do it today, and then I thought I'll just bring it in. It costs, I've got you send it into Concord, and there's a menu. And if you want standard testing, it's $85. The whole thing is $240. Like for instance, arsenic's $15, fluoride's $12. Volatile organic chemicals, which I learned today. You were saying VOC, and I didn't understand what that was. VOC are petroleum-based products, like grease and oil and gas and things like that. That's actually the most expensive. It's $120. So I'm going to send this in. I haven't done it for about a year. But one of the things that resonated with me is that about 5 years ago, on a lake that I go across every summer, for a decade, there was water, there was gas, there was 50-gallon drums in the basement of the house, and it was leaking into the lake and contaminating the lake. DES, you may have remembered the episode, it was back in, I think it was 2013, but DES came in, they had to completely destroy the house, excavate the basement, pull that out, and then they remediated the site. 2 years ago it was declared remediated, and it was sold to another nearby homeowner. But a lot of people actually got water from the lake, and they were drinking contaminated water for a long period of time. My concern, 2 years ago, the way I got into getting testing water was 2 years ago. I think it was sponsored by GMCG. I'm not sure, but it was a college. A college wanted to do a survey of the Ossipee region of just random people to send in their water samples. So I did it 2 years ago. It was in April, and I dropped it off at the other store. There are other places in the region to drop it off at. Those results came back a few months later. It actually took quite a while, but probably 7 months later. And of those 80 tests, totally random, it had to be a private well, it couldn't be from a lake, and it couldn't be from municipal water. 12 of those were contaminated, and the contamination didn't have any set pattern. There were some that had arsenic in it, but they all had alarming levels of something, whether it's arsenic, VOCs, in a couple of cases. There was another, arsenic, there's another, radon is the one that I'm really concerned about, and one of the reasons I'm sending it in, because radon is a huge carcinogenic that you can get over time. Well, a lot of people don't have time or money to send in a $240 kit, and a lot of people don't have the opportunity that I did. There were 80, everybody could volunteer. They only got 80 samples, they would have taken more. But that's what really highlighted for me. If there are 12 contaminated wells out of 80, that means of the 14,000 people that live in the greater Ossipee watershed in New Hampshire, probably 300 to 400 households using that sample are probably contaminated right now, and they don't know about it. And they could be contaminated from things like this. I identified with this well because my well is actually drilled down to 150 feet. The only reason I know that is because I went over to the town hall and I asked, could I have the building, it was built back in the 70s, can I see how far my well was built or drilled down to? They have no record of it at all. They didn't keep those kind of records back then. So I actually went back last fall and actually put a line down there to find out what was down there. And it was gooey and gunky, and I don't know what else is down there. So I'm not saying I always use this tap water. I'll brush with my tap water, everything else is apparently safe. I just prefer to be a lot more safe, and the image of me fishing out rats from my dad's well just sticks with me. So this model really, I did this in 9th grade. I've probably seen it 3 other times. Each time it resonates with me a lot differently.
So how many of you guys are on town water, and how many are in town water? So 2 people on town water. Everyone else has his or her own private well. So I never tested my water for 20 years until I started working with Dr. Newton, and he's like, well, you know, technically you don't live too far away from your own dump. You might want to test it. And it just made me realize that even though you're 500 feet, 1,000 feet away, look at how it's moving. I mean, I'm looking at a different side, but on this side it's actually moving because of the cobbles. It's actually moving up. And I want to show you what happens if you were to start pumping this well, which is the really deep well. I'm going to go to the really deep well. You should see it.
You know, for the size of your model and the amount of pollution you put in there, you'd have to dump a 55-gallon drum next to your well to get the same action around here, you know.
Well, I'm not very good at this demonstration. I'm just saying. Karen Deegan is our person, and she's really good. She probably would have put in less. The point is to try and understand how quickly it can move through the sand. It's different than a granite bedrock well.
And I think whether you're talking about leach fields or personal sewage or kerosene tanks that are near the well, as well as businesses that are leaching in, I just think that it's
You got some? Yeah, you got some. I'm gonna do more.
good due diligence to make sure that we provide for this.
And you know, we're not trying to scare people. It's about, we should be working together to plan for our growth and protect this water. So, and I think you guys have been following the whole water crisis around the world, and if we're not proactive about creating water laws in our own towns, anyone from any country can come in and just take whatever they want. And so we're over this gold mine, and that is going to be something for the future that's going to be very important. So you can see I'm pulling it up.
Blair, I'm the last one that should be correcting you, but you said water laws, but I think the biggest thing about the OAAC, in my understanding of it, is that it's really about managing economic development and just making sure that everybody's talking to each other about making sure
So there we go.
that
There's one thing, preventing is something else.
right.
Well, your ordinance is so proactive. It allows for things. If
We
you-
allow for a lot of safety things, we put a lot of safety in, and people still fight us.
I think the whole purpose of what you're trying to do is because we approved the Johnson gas
Not at all.
station.
No, no, no.
And the Ossipee,
No.
So we formed after you guys wrote your ordinance. Green Mountain formed in 1997 to promote.
I know all
water
about
awareness.
Green Mountain Conservation Group, and I
So-
know how conservation works. What are your credentials?
All right,
Okay.
Yeah? Did you want to say
go ahead, Blair.
something? So anyway, what we're aiming for with this committee, it's not going to be a Green Mountain Conservation Group committee. And I wanted Rich to come because he's been on this committee as an Ossipee resident. We have residents from every town on the committee. Green Mountain is just fostering it to start it. This meeting on May 5th, actually, can you pass these out to each of them? There's a flyer we're going to be handing out on the tables, and here's
a
the
letter?
flyer. Yep, I'm going to give them a letter. There's also a little description from Dr. Newton about how groundwater works. And he's going to do a presentation. He's a geologist. He's going to talk about this. I'm not a geologist. And Karen does a much better presentation. She will do a presentation. Bob Newton, who did all the mapping for USGS back in the 70s, is going to be there doing a presentation about the aquifer. And the goal of the project is that selectmen, we're going to ask selectmen to appoint 2 or 3 people from each town to be part of this committee. And I don't know if there's anyone, I know you guys are overcommitted because you're already on boards, but maybe you know someone who was a previous planning board member that would like to be on the committee, a previous selectman. That's up to you as a town to choose who you want to be on this committee. The committee is going to be non-regulatory, and they're just going to be advisory. They will be reviewing all projects that come to the area, and then the committee will be doing presentations to town planning boards if there needs to be more information about how it could impact the aquifer. And Bob Newton, again, the hydrologist, he was one of the founders of another organization like this. He's been asking us to help foster something like this for 10 years. He lives on Silver Lake. His dad was one of the first people that did water quality monitoring on Silver Lake. And his passion in life is protecting drinking water, not just for now, but for the future, because it's a finite resource.
If I could just thank Blair. The members of the OAAC, which is very informal, and we just meet once a month. Sometimes we skip a couple of months. But Blair came today because I asked her to come. She's not going to all the other towns. This is the first demonstration we're doing. But people from Madison are going to present to Madison. People in Tamworth are going to present to Tamworth as just an effort to make sure that just sort of use the best management practices of places like Newfound Lake, which has a similar OAAC. It's called something different. And there's another place down in southern New Hampshire that also has one.
And on the flyer, there should be a link to the Barron's Aquifer Advisory Committee, which is where Dr. Newton founded. And they've been in place for 20 years. And again, it's not regulatory. They just make recommendations to their 5 towns in their district. And this is a formal invitation from Karen, inviting the planning board and it's to the chair. And then there's one, if you don't mind sharing it with your Board of Selectmen and your Conservation Commission, because we really want as many municipal officials that can come to come.
Any questions? Anyone in the audience? Thank you very much.
We have one more gift for you. This is the watershed management plan that we were working on last year with Horace Bell, and he did a presentation here. Well, he did for the selectmen, but that's the plan that he came up with for Ossipee Lake, and there's some simple best management practices that homeowners can do to keep sediment from going into the lake. And some of them are expensive, some of them are not. And we're giving them to town planning boards in hopes that if you're proactively working on sediment protection of the lake, there's some guidelines for how to do it.
Yeah, I have one question, Connie, if I may.
Go ahead.
Blair, the watershed management plan, does that identify for the homeowners solutions to, or relate to or respond to conditions if somebody is building along the lake
There are
shore?
guidelines for driveway construction, runoff from the driveways.
Not just
pesticide on the
sediment, but other,
grass. Yeah,
other
yeah.
aspects? Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Connie.
Moving on, budget report. Used about 9.85% of our budget so far this year. You gave me yours. You get that letter from, no, you didn't get it from Cal. You did not get the letter from Cal, West Ossipee. You got the one from Center Ossipee, which is a different case. Unsatisfied are, everything's pending, except for Route 16. 1314 New Hampshire Route 16 LLC authorized agent is Scott Waller. We're waiting the fire chief's official letter, which I believe we've received.
No, I have a copy.
Chief's letter? No, I don't. Not here. Unless it's,
Stapled
oh, it's stapled with Scott's thing, I'm sorry.
Which one?
The back,
to last page.
the last page is the fire chief.
Yep, right there.
If you look on site plan on C1, under notes, note 15, 16, and 17, 18 will satisfy the unsatisfied conditions.
Sixteen, 17,
15, 16, 17, and 18.
18. 15, too. So I got them all in there.
They've got them all in there.
So he's met his conditions,
He's met all his conditions.
so they're ready to sign.
Well, you have to have a motion and second to sign.
Motion complete then? What do we need?
Yep.
Make a motion is complete?
I'll second that.
Made and seconded with the lowest conditional approval has been met. And if we approve the final plans, any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion is carried.
Thank you.
copies need to come back this way so Connie and Roy can sign them,
Okay.
please.
First day, take the third.
Yep.
Radon, there's nothing you can do about it. You said put in
Yeah.
a system to take care of a baffle system for radon. Honestly, honestly, you can test your well in the spring. Check in the fall, and you can partially, depending on the water level. But the thing, I'm a certified operator for 25, 30 years. So these are the classes.
Oh, yeah.
And the one thing I did about radon analysts, they prepared to make all these changes. And they just point to one area because when arsenic comes in from all radon.
All they're doing is taking the scientific analysis of the potential. Here's the thing, the
You signed that one.
or evaluation systems that understand the That's why they have to require have these extraction systems in there. And I imagine you got that.
One more, right? I've never tested it. I'm not sure.
Had one of those again. Give them more bank, pin from the bank, and take a stick there.
Okay. Want a new business? Any thoughts on the master plan?
I'm sorry, what was that, Connie? I wasn't.
Any thoughts on the master plan?
Well, the only thought I have, and I agreed with you last meeting, was that certainly we start with a table of contents to identify all of the appropriate sections that we'll develop in the new master plan. And frankly, I was kind of hoping that I might have time to do that, just to get it on paper, and then we can discuss it or review it, but I did not get an opportunity to do that, so if that's not objectionable to anyone on the planning board, I would still certainly do that, just create the table of contents, and as a discussional start, and we can add or subtract those chapters or sections, if you will, as required or needed or desired.
Good place to start.
Yeah, I think we
Well, we have to.
just get it done, and like I said, I can probably, I will get it done before the next meeting. I'll try to get it done, well, actually before the end of this week, and then I'll email it to Laura, and she can send it out to everybody, so they'll have a chance to review it before our next meeting, if that is acceptable.
My thought was that we have a short introduction and then a short history of
Yep.
just how the town was founded,
Oh, I like that.
so that we know where we came from.
I like that a lot.
And then I would say that we could probably go into the visions of each department.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then at the end, we could have a general synopsis of everybody and what their input was.
Yeah. And then any assertions or recommendations at the end?
I don't think we'll be having any recommendations.
Well, I got assertions that, you know, based upon the.
Oh, I mean, your synopsis of all the.
Yeah, I mean, we'll combine that into one, you know, instead of having it broken out from each department or whatever.
Right, but
Yeah.
I mean, we just
No, I
combine
agree.
the whole thing and say, this is what the town has envisioned, and this is what we envision from what they put into
Okay.
it.
I like that.
I was just gonna suggest that, I mean, if, I looked through some of the other master plans from other towns, just to see, you know, what they did and how they came to writing theirs, and, they had, some of them were 5 and 6 pages long, they were too drawn out. Freedom had one, they asked maybe 12 or 14 questions, and they were basically a multiple choice type thing, you know, and rating what you'd like to see first, second, third, fourth, that type of thing. Something simple that we could get out to the public, because
Right.
this is their master plan. It's not the committees or all the committees together. It should be from the town.
Right.
People in town should have an input.
Yeah, and that's something we can obviously develop as well, is a list of those, I don't know, 10, 15 questions that we, you know, solicit the residents of what they believe are important issues in town. We can review them, compile them, and determine what the appropriate ones are to add as items to address in the master plan as well.
I think that Ossipee listened has more or less got that already.
Yeah.
From their meetings they had, when was that, Ash? Mr. Fishbein.
Yes, sir?
When was Ossipee listening? Do I have to turn this up?
Yes, turn the knot off over here.
There is gonna be a
What was
quiz
the
after this,
question,
you know.
Mr. Chairman?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, sir.
Okay.
What was the question?
When Ossipee listened, had their seminar at the town hall when we went around, they pretty much got an idea of what the townspeople felt we needed.
Concerns?
So let me, I just want to clarify a couple things. That night, there's been 2 events at the town hall.
Yep.
The first one was Ossipee Listens, which involved candidates night.
All right, both of you.
Envision night was Ossipee Economic Development Council, which I'm not affiliated. I respect and love and admire what they're doing, but 2 completely separate boards.
I understand that.
Okay, so that-
I thought that they put the second one on.
Right.
But it was your organization.
That was us, yeah. So I took a page out of their book because I like the way they facilitate, but that's the only similarity between the 2. Yeah, that night was a night to grab information from the community to find out what they want. As a board, we're currently working on aggregating all of the information we've gathered from not only that night, but also the voting day. Town voting day was a snowstorm, so we couldn't stand there all day for fear of some not getting home. But for 4 or 5 hours, Donna Gridley stood and surveyed about 120 people that came in and voted on kind of the 10 bullet points from Envision Night. So what we're working on as a board, and I won't be long-winded, I promise, is aggregating that information, putting a presentation together, maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and we're going to go to Select Board, Planning Board, Zoning Board, the Chamber. I feel like there's one more that I'm blanking out on, but maybe I don't recall that, but maybe. But hit the keyboards. Of course, we want to use that information to help the master plan. You know, I've been a big advocate for the master plan for many years now. So, I'll be more than happy to share what we drum up. Can I make a suggestion to what you are talking about, Mr. Chairman? I would suggest while it's great to do a table of contents, that's awesome, I would suggest sending out warning shots with a formal letter from this board to the 11 departments that are currently in the master plan. There are, I believe, 11. A warning shot saying we're working on the master plan. We need everybody's cooperation in pulling this together. We need to hear the vision of all of our departments. And then I would suggest mailing with that letter every department's current master plan. So everyone gets a couple pages so they can see what the old one was 12 years ago. I'm probably one of the only crazy people that carry it around with me, but most people don't. And that would be my suggestion to the board.
Can I have one question for Ash? You can say. When do you anticipate having all of that data compiled into a presentable, draft or whatever? I mean, it doesn't even have to be a final document, obviously, because it's going to be a working document, I would imagine.
Yeah. So our original goal was actually to have it presented this month, but we quickly came up with the idea of getting permission to do the survey at the town vote. So that delayed us a couple weeks because it just added that much more work. But I would like to say that we'll have presentations out by mid to late May at the latest. The next EDC meeting, which is the third Monday of the month, we're actually completing our presentation. I should have all the slides put together, and we'll have something much sooner, but it takes time getting on the agenda and things like that.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Thinking, I asked this when I first got on this board, and I keep thinking about it all the time. You've got several boards here. You've got planning board, zoning board, you've got economic groups. You've got all these groups. They're all working independently, and nobody knows what the other one's doing. I know you just said, Ash, you're gonna get a 5-minute or so proposal and go to all the different departments. Why don't all the departments meet once or twice a year as a group where they can discuss things that are going on? I mean,
I would say that would be something that you would have to bring up to the chairman of each committee and the selectmen.
Yeah. I think it's a great suggestion, too.
I mean, it's like I'm throwing out the master plan to the selectmen on tape, and I have not heard, that was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Ash and I are the only two that have spoken.
We've had joint meetings past years, several boards.
Yeah.
Well, usually there's ZBA and planning, but
I just think if you're gonna have the master plan, if you get everybody together once or twice during the year, you get a lot more done as a group working together. I don't know,
yes, Ash.
So over in Wolfboro, they're starting to work on their master plan, and they actually did kind of a call to action to get people involved in doing it. Not everybody reads public notices. Not everybody reads agendas on the town hall walls or even in here. It doesn't hurt to put things out in different avenues to try to get that involvement. But it's always good to be proactive.
Or is that something that you and I can work on? What is to previous? Laura and I will write a letter and I'll send it out to the different committees. Try to get some feedback. Other than that, anybody else got anything on the master? If not, Jake's not here.
did you get that feeler and see if they're interested? You're gonna send these letters out to these different groups.
Correct.
If there's any interest in picking 1 or 2 times a year where you get together, or when there's a concern, get everybody together.
We will include that in the letter.
Yeah, I think that's a great approach.
And
Because what that does is it enables each one of those departments to get involved.
They just pick on one of the first 3 Tuesdays.
What's the matter, Roy? You don't like me 3 weeks in a row?
I want one Tuesday to myself.
Mr. Fishbein, you're up for Hobbs.
Before I do that, I noticed Jake was on the agenda tonight. Who had asked to put him on the agenda tonight?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
I just wanted to make sure. I texted him and I was like, "Do you know you're on this?" And he was not aware that he was on tonight.
That was a request to send a letter out to Mr. Dawson, just a reminder of the conditions that you set for his garage down there.
Just out of curiosity, Connie, is he planning to activate that old laundromat, or is he just using the building for other purposes?
Well, the laundromat, he wants to get that up. and
Oh,
running.
he did?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because somebody asked me about that last week, and I said, I'll find out tonight.
Yeah,
He's purchased all brand new equipment for
Oh, I didn't realize that, yeah.
he's got a lot of stuff going in there.
That's why I asked for the board, it's not just being a laundromat.
Well, the dry cleaning side was not gonna be used unless he came in for a site plan.
Yeah.
And the last time it was in there, it's all being used.
If I remember, you have to look on those, but we gave him an okay because of,
I will read what Dawson Equipment has purchased 80 Route 16B, old dry cleaners laundry mat, tax map 93, lot 105, is to present conceptual plans for the structure and property. Jake Dawson presented his conceptual plan to rejuvenate the building, reopen the laundromat, and use the rear of the building to house his equipment and truck. The dry cleaning side of the building will remain empty for now. No plans for that area at this time. Board discussion ensued over whether a site plan is needed. Since the building has been vacant less than 2 years, was an existing laundromat, and there will be not any repair business in the rear of the building. Billings pulled the board for their opinion on the need of a site plan. Gillette, no. Zavas, no. St. Jean, no. Legendre, no. Martin, no. Barron, no. Billings felt there should be a site plan review on property. The board's opinion reflected no site plan is needed at this time. But when Jake Dawson decides what business will occupy the right side of the building, aka dry cleaning side, Dawson agrees to come before the planning board for a full site plan review.
Now, we had talked to him about, or he talked to us about storing a truck, and he has a lot of trucks there.
No.
No?
Outside,
Oh, so you're talking about inside the building?
inside the building.
Okay, I stand corrected.
I believe he stated he was gonna keep the work trucks off to the side.
Yep.
Right. Which his equipment outside, his parking, there is plenty of room to park. Yes, Ash.
So my question is, well, that makes, I remember that night vividly. Site plan review is needed if he does anything to the building outside of that laundromat, the left side, looking at the building. Can he, right now, currently, go in and start the laundromat business?
Yes.
So he can,
Well, not necessarily.
Well, he has-
The equipment that was parked in the dry cleaning area had fuel in it, when last time I was there.
Oh, yeah?
There's no firewall in the building. Now you got the fire department, and I don't think he's gonna sign off.
Right.
There's issues.
I'm sorry, there was what in the,
They're full of fuel. They were at the time.
what, a vehicle?
A vehicle?
No, lawn care equipment that was in there.
So he was storing lawn care equipment in the other side?
The week after you told him not to, when he went in.
So
I-
he'd have to keep everything out of the building.
Huh?
Everything would have to be out of the building.
Well, even the truck, if it's stored inside the building, there's gotta be a fire separation wall between that space and the laundromat.
He's willing to do that. I
Yeah,
believe
yeah,
that's done.
yeah.
I have no problem with the garage out back.
The reason I ask is we have somebody who's trying to start a business in this town. Regardless of his the outside of the building, regardless of the other parts of the building, he has put considerable amount of money into the equipment to start up that laundromat again, which I believe is needed. With that being said, can he fire away and get that thing going or no? As of right now, he cannot.
Well, right now, there was a cease and desist on it today.
I heard, yeah.
All right, there's no permits on the building. They're in there working, but there's no permits on the building, so we had to stop it. The state's coming in. It's a dangerous building right now with the electrical and the gas. It's just gotta be inspected. If you're closing things up, we're gonna have to pull those walls out and inspect it. He's gonna be here next Thursday, the state. I don't know when the gas is coming, that's gonna be the state.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of people who have to sign off on it. It's a dangerous building right now.
Before he can even start the laundromat.
Before you can start the laundromat.
Okay. I just don't want to make it any more difficult for somebody to come into town to start a business.
No,
That's my interest.
The night he came in here in front of the board, I do believe I spoke up for him in favor to let him use the building out back and inside what he was doing in the laundromat, but things went a little sour.
So Connie, correct me if I'm wrong, so at this point, he has obviously certain local, state, and federal regulations and requirements he has to satisfy before he can even operate the
Correct.
laundromat, okay. Our typical disclaimer, so to speak, or contingency.
I mean, we did not present that to him, but he knows that he can't open anything without the occupancy permit,
Right.
which is not gonna be issued if the electrical and the plumbing, et cetera, are not okay.
Right, all those requirements have to be met on a state level or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, but unless he comes back for site plan, it's actually his jurisdiction, not ours.
inspecting the gas lines?
Gas, the electric.
That's the state fire marshal that was gonna do.
He came in the day I was out in the garage, the state fire marshal was there. And he requested putting the fuel in fire cabinets, so he wouldn't have fire.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
we ask that all the time when it's inside the building, so.
Yeah, but I believe the chief wants firewall put up before anything goes on in there.
So, I mean, he does need a site plan now that he's got ABC in there. Because that's a second business.
Right.
The lawn care company you're talking.
Pardon?
The lawn care company.
Yeah, ABC Lawn,
Yeah.
Brett Cushing's lawn, Brett Cushing runs that.
Yeah.
Oh, right. That's as a tenant?
As a tenant,
Yeah.
he is in there. And,
He actually can't be in there without a site plan.
correct?
So you're saying then, Connie, just so I understand this as well, then he cannot really go to Steve and apply for any kind of a permit until he's done his site plan review?
Not unless ABC
No.
leaves.
No, he can do anything he wants inside the building.
Oh, right.
As long as Steve okays it,
Right,
but to carry on another, he told us that he would come to us when he decided
what he was gonna do with
what
that.
was gonna go into the dry cleaners.
Right, okay.
He's put ABC in there and didn't come to us. So now, he's in, I want to say violation. Gave us his word he was coming in.
Can I ask a question? From what I'm understanding here, he can open up the business the way it was, as long as he doesn't have anything else in there, in that other part of the building. And he keeps all of his equipment outside, other than the one truck in the back of the building. He could open up right now, right? And as long as there's nothing in there,
I
right?
can't speak for the fire chief.
Well, no,
You'd
but
have to get a
but the
letter
only
from him.
complaint was he had fuel in there. So that was the complaint.
No,
Oh, no, he's got.
Well, no,
numerous
but
issues.
if he has,
no.
if he has nothing in there, is what I'm saying. If there's nothing in there, he can open up right now, right?
He still has to satisfy all of this local and
He
state
has
and
to
federal
get-
requirements.
He has to get an occupancy permit from Steve.
Right.
If Steve won't give him an occupancy permit because, number one, he's never come in for an electrical, he's never come in for a gas, he's never come in for a plumbing.
But this is
licenses
this is
with
already a
permits.
working operational laundromat.
But he
wasn't
made
it?
It is
changes.
not.
2.5 years ago.
But it's still, it was 2.5, so it doesn't fall under the 2-year.
I'm not gonna, I mean.
It doesn't fall under the
I'd rather give
2
a guy
year.
a break. If
Well,
he
didn't
wants
we-
to
I
have
don't
business,
I
good
don't
for
want
him.
to argue the semantics of this, but the truth of the matter is that, you know, however we might feel personally, you know, these provisions are in place and someone needs to come in to get an electrical permit, they need to come in to get a gas permit, they need to have inspections because those have been put in place because people have blown up buildings, they've electrocuted people, they've.
He's telling us it's a
Yeah,
violation.
so he went above and beyond just going in and reopening the building. He started making a lot of changes inside structurally and to the plumbing, to the electrical, and he occupied the space which he said he wasn't gonna occupy, which, you know, so there are a whole host of various things that have just compiled.
I'm just trying to figure out, because I can't understand,
Yeah.
is can he or can't he, if he goes and gets his permits to do what he needs to do, can he or can't he open it up the way he is right now with
To
nobody
make
in
a
it?
long
Has to be
story short,
inspected.
to make a long story short, the state's gonna come in.
Okay.
Whether it's the gas, electrical, and plumbing, when they sign off, along with me, he's fine.
Okay.
Right now, it's a mess, somebody's gonna get hurt.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
And that's what we're up against.
We really shouldn't be discussing this.
Well,
I-
discussing it with Mr. Dawson.
Right.
Well, Mr. Dawson is not here. Mr. Dawson was informed that we would be discussing it. All we're discussing on our end is whether we have to write him a letter stating that he needs a site plan.
If ABC stays, yes.
So,
I make a motion that we write a letter to Mr. Dawson informing him that he is required to submit to us a site plan review application because of the nature of the multiple businesses in the building that he's proposing.
I have a second.
I'll second that.
Made and seconded, any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries.
So are you saying, Connie, that the only thing you're looking to see that he does is come in to site plan?
That's
The
all
rest
we
of it-
can do.
So the rest of it is
The
staying.
rest of it is on Steve and the state.
And Selectmen, because you're his boss.
I mean, Steve and the state are the final say. We can give him a site plan just like we gave Verizon. With conditions. When the conditions are met, then he can do it.
We do that quite often, actually.
Right, we do it quite a bit because the people want to start. And, so they get started. You need this back.
Let's move on.
We'll move on to Mr. Fishbein and Mr. Hobbs's distillery going to a brewery.
One more?
Last night, Mr. Chairman. Just an informal discussion, just wanted to, as I had mentioned to you the other day, Connie, the plan has changed for the distillery property down on 16 south of Hannaford. Obviously, there's a giant foundation that's there. We are planning on using that, but we're going to amend a few things. And I know we did a full site plan, so we'll end up coming back to apply, or not apply, but to amend that site plan. But I wanted to keep this board in communication with what we're doing, so that way there aren't any rumors floating around and everybody's kind of getting it from the source here. So the reason we're going to go a different direction, we're going to actually expand Hobbs Tavern's brewing production down to that foundation. Some things had come up along the way where we felt that while it's great to start a distillery, and I think that's still in the plans at some point, we really need to follow the growth of the company and its canning line and everything we're doing there, getting our product out into the stores and restaurants. So we want to utilize that foundation, Sadly, I think we're going to fill it in. So we have a frost wall to China, and we're going to just do a slab in the same footprint that's right there, and put in a Morton building following the height requirements of the town. It won't be over 35 feet by any means. I think the actual overall height is like 26, maybe. But everything's staying the same as far as a tasting room. And then the production side. We're not going to do the rick houses, those two outbuildings that we had asked for approval for, which you granted. We may come in and adjust some of our asphalt in the parking lot, which should be fine because I believe our percentage of impervious is still within the ordinance of the town. Ultimately, doing what we're doing is going to reduce our square footage. Takes it down from, I don't know, 10,000 plus to about 89 to 9,300, give or take. So I've already contacted Adam Riley, and once we have plans, Chief Riley, once we have plans, we'll submit to him and ask for a letter suggesting that we do not need to have a sprinkler system, as we're going to be under capacity of the 99 required, and the square footage, which I think you had mentioned, Steve, is now 12,000 feet. We're going to be far below that now. By doing that, it's going to help recoup some funds so that we can put it into the production side of our canning line, into the new brewery system that we're putting in there. Outside of that, we're treating the rainwater, as we were before. Scott from Norway Plains, who I know is familiar with this board, is going to be representing us when we do submit our amended site plan. As far as that goes, any questions? That's really all I have. I just wanted to let you guys know what was going on.
Your water usage will be going up, right?
It really shouldn't change. I mean, it might a little, but
well, I mean, you're going to be turning the brewery versus the distillery. You're distilling longer than you are brewing, right?
Well, the distillery we had planned was quite large.
I understand.
I mean, it's still.
The turnover of the product is quicker in a brewery than it is in.
It is, but it's close to the same water used.
Now, that's my question: is are you going to think you're going to use more water?
Well, once we figure that out, I can't answer that right now. If let's say we did, hypothetically, what would you be asking for?
Well, I mean, if you're going to be using more water, then your leach fields are going to be bigger, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm just looking at the general picture, and Scott's going to have to come up with some figures. And I mean, the state says you draw so much water a day, you've got to do this, you draw more. So
you actually bring up a great point. So with the brewery, the one thing that a distillery doesn't typically need is the aeration system in its septic design. So we are going to have a modular aeration, so we can actually add on as we grow. These new systems allow you to do that. Our max capacity there that we'd like to do, which I see us getting to in about 5 to 7 years, is about 10,000 barrels a year, just over 300,000 gallons of beer being produced. So yeah, I mean, I would say that we're going to revisit the leach field and its designs for sure.
I'm just looking at saying, well, okay, now you got the brewery, you got the greenhouses, and you got A's, and then you're going to have, I believe there was another space next to Ace's for another store, if I'm not mistaken, that they never did. They used Ace used the space.
Right.
So that 5 acres, you're going to be drawing quite a bit of water.
And state, they'll address
But
that.
that's going to be the state, and that's what I'm,
5 acres, 25 acres.
well, you stop and think about it, you got about 5 acres of building and
We have 3 wells.
greenhouses that you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's talking about impervious with your.
No.
No?
No.
Well, he needs a
One
large
area.
groundwater withdrawal permit.
The buildings and the greenhouses, you could probably use approximately 5 acres in there.
Yeah.
And you add the, the driveways and everything, you're right about 5 acres, 5.5, and that, might use a lot of water, I don't know, Ash, I mean, that's up to the state.
Sure, and that's not my wheelhouse. That would be Scott's and his team's wheelhouse. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's gonna be 2 separate systems. So,
Yeah, we'll have a domestic system.
no,
Are
I
you
mean,
talking about septic?
no,
Okay.
the greenhouse is drawing from one, you were planning on drawing from another well.
Yeah, we have 3 wells on property.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, how many different beer products? Just kidding.
Right now, we have about 12.
Okay.
Dennis, you want
Yeah.
a question?
I was just gonna say, that's all up to the state. I know Medicine Lumber takes 100,000 gallons of water out of the ground, daily. And if they had to be permitted, the state came in and did a lot of tests. I mean, they do the same thing for
Yeah.
the business. It uses,
That's the
uses
state.
water. We don't really have to get too worried about that.
No, but
Yeah.
it's something that when he comes in for his amended site plan, he's got to have, one of the things will be the permit from DES for that withdrawal of water.
Yeah, Scott knows that.
Yes, Steve.
He does have plans of filling it right in
Yeah, so
very shortly.
that was part 2. So part 2, now that you have kind of the scope of what we're trying to do here, time is a bit of the essence. We have arrangements and agreements made with Morton Buildings to come in and set. We have arrangements with East Coast to come in and pour concrete. What we really need to do is start working on our filling in that foundation and compacting it and getting those tests done. So a gentleman's already come, I believe, either today or tomorrow, to pull samples to get an understanding of where we're at currently. What I had asked Steve the other day was, because we do, our building permit did run out in March, I think, but we did get approval for it all. Can we at least get going so we can start just filling in that foundation, filling it in and compacting it to the regulations that they need?
I would say that if you wanna fill your foundation in, under the old site plan, you can do it.
Okay.
I mean, I see no reason not to. But before you
Start. Yeah.
start your second,
Yeah.
that you're gonna have to come in front of us.
Of course.
Right.
I think our plan is the second meeting in May.
Before he pours his cement, I believe, 'cause he has to show everything goes
No.
and cement everything, yeah?
No,
Because all your plumbing, everything's in your cement.
that's
Part of the site
Steve's.
plan.
That's Steve's.
That's right.
Has nothing to do with the site plan then?
No, because
Okay.
that is, you got to stop and think. A site plan is only outside of the building.
Right, okay.
Right.
Yeah,
Anything inside that building
it's Steve, all right,
is
all right.
permit by Steve and the state.
I had that conversation.
So Ash, by basically what you're saying is you're gonna come in and do compacted fill inside the foundation up to, I'm assuming, the top of the foundation, and then when you actually put your underground utilities in, you excavate down, because that way you're starting with a clean slate?
Yeah, it'll be
Okay.
it'll be up to a certain grade so we can run grid. I think we're gonna do radiant, so we'll have to run grid for that.
Yeah, I
Floor
just,
drains.
yeah. But I mean, as far as the first step, you're just looking to go in and do
I
compacted
just
fill?
need to get it up so that way it's ready for concrete.
I got you.
Whether you'd like me to come in at that point is fine.
No,
but,
I mean,
No, he's right.
Our goal wasn't to pour until probably late May anyway. And I'd like to have this in as an amended site plan and get on the agenda by the second meeting in May.
you get the site plan to us if you can make your deadlines for notifications. As far as I can, and I'll pull the board, but my thought is that if he fills a foundation in, he can do that under his old site plan.
I have no objections to that. I don't see any reason why you
Peter?
can't.
Fine, go right ahead.
Roy,
Fine by me, I didn't know he was gonna have a cellar, so.
you got the board's blessing to fill the foundation in, but before you
Do anything.
change anything else,
Yep.
please come front.
That would be great. It'll make it, you know, less of a liability too. You can get his work
Yeah.
out.
Right?
Give me a call in
Great.
the morning, ask the owner's name and stuff, I gotta find out who owns the property.
Yep.
And it's good to hear that you're getting started, because we could always, you know,
Cause you want another beer.
not necessarily, I just said, see another business going in town that,
John wants a beer.
If God's making hard cider, I'll check it out.
We make hard cider right over here at Zavas.
yep,
I'll have to stop and get some.
yeah, it's quite good.
I like about one bottle a year.
Anybody else got any questions for Nash?
Good luck, guys.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll go on to our business. We've sent, 3 letters, plus there was a letter to Bob thanking him for his work,
Oh,
as a member. I believe we've got Ambrose is back.
Ambrose and Barry.
Ambrose and Barry's are back. Gary Cohen, I believe that's the one that's on Chickville Road. And that's in conjunction with the subdivision up there. And I believe that, or is it? Wait a minute. Yeah, that's the one up.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the one up on Mass Ave.
Other than-
Chickville Road, excuse me.
Chickville Road, other than repair the gate, repair the road last year, I didn't see much happen.
No, he's the one that came in to us a couple of years ago. No, last year. About crushing the gravel and using it in there.
Yeah,
Because
a
he-
year and a half ago.
Year and a half, because he was, under 1,000, so.
This is the second one of the gravel set.
Anyways, they've all been notified. I believe we have 2 intents to excavate from Ossipee John Jedry's. We have copies of those. They've been signed by the Selectmen. We ran into a problem yesterday that the Berry Pit has no permit from us, but the Selectmen signed their intent to excavate. And the town is drawing gravel out of there right now.
Now, they've got a site plan reclamation and stuff, so I thought it's always these monitored when the selectmen signed it.
No,
We
no,
have
that-
nothing on file.
we have nothing. If you read the earth excavation, the permit runs for 6 years. Every 2 years, there is supposed to be, what do we call it?
When they're granted a permit, it's good for 6 years. After that 6 years, they have to renew every 2.
Right.
No, they don't have to renew. They have to bring in a plan of what has been done. And it is supposed to be done by a professional engineer.
Well, I don't remember anybody bringing a plan in the last 9 years.
Yeah,
Exactly,
Well, we might as well
That's
start
never
now.
been pushed.
exactly.
What's the hell of a time to start pushing it?
no, it's,
Yes, I mean, we can tell them bring it in, but to sit there and tell them, oh, hey, you know, we just caught the fact we're supposed to be doing it, we're gonna shut you down, I don't think that's quite cool.
no, we're not.
We're not saying we're gonna shut them down, we're asking for what they have for records right now.
A
So we can
permit
go
shall
from
be
there.
valid for a maximum of 6 years and the expiration date shall be specified. A plan showing current reclamation status and further plan reclamation shall be required every 2 years to be verified by an independent professional engineer at the applicant's expense, to be filed within 30 days of the permit's anniversary date.
We need to drop them a letter with that paragraph. I'd make a motion to do that.
Connie, you're reading that from where? Is that,
Page 14,
Okay.
the new one.
okay.
That's what it is.
That's what it is.
Yeah, no, I
It's
just,
what?
no, I just
That-
didn't know what
that's-
That was
reference
the
that was.
old one too.
Yeah,
That is contained within the RSA for 155.
yeah, yeah.
Which is why I just made a motion, we drop them a letter with that paragraph. Matter of fact, we probably better do it with everybody.
So all of them should be.
Exactly what I just said. So that's my motion.
I'll second that.
All right. Made second, and then we send a letter
To all of them,
of
okay.
remembrance to Ossipee Ag, Brownsridge, Gary, Colin, Jedry, Berry, Ambrose, Easton, Mr. Shea, and Heckle.
And that's to provide us with the appropriate documentation that we require.
Correct.
Okay.
All those, any discussion on it? More?
Heck, those can't do anything because they got no room.
Well,
So they'll have to get a thing saying they still can't recommend yet.
well, they can, but it would be tight. And they're only supposed to have
Really, they haven't hauled a lot out of it yet.
4 acres is all they're supposed to have open.
That's why you get it in your reading.
That's all they got, but it's pretty
Right.
tight. That's what I'm saying.
All those in favor of the motion? Timmy, you
Oh,
would,
I'm sorry, yes,
motion
You
carries.
second, you better vote.
yes.
I'm standing in the corner.
I'm ready.
More said, we have not heard anything.
Nope.
Okay, we have, I've read the two that we received. You have the subdivision regulations that Laura has provided. We have a special use permit, notification, excavation and regulation, which you've already given us. We also came across a excavation permit form and an excavation site inspection report from Mr. Barron. I make a motion that we approve Mr. Barron as representative for the inspections of the gravel pits in town.
I'll second that.
I've been doing it right along.
Well, you've been doing it, so
And that makes sense because you're highly familiar with them anyway.
I've been running gravel loaders, everything else, and logging for over
Yeah.
45 years.
That's good.
I mean, we should make that appointment every year.
Yes. I think that's
All
a
those in favor? Motion carries.
good step forward.
Do we need to get him a little badge?
We thank him.
I want a big badge. Big star on it, the shield.
Little guy.
Okay,
Bigger target for him to hit me with.
you have in your, you should have 3 draft notices. They're in there someplace.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you did with them, Roy.
Move things around so much, I'm not sure either.
But is every, Peter, you seen them? Go over the excavation site inspection report first.
I guess my question is on excavation is, when do you have to apply for one?
No, we'll go over this one first. Your report.
All right.
In the middle. It's in the middle.
That's the excavation right there.
Yeah. Everyone looked at this? We do get,
Can I ask you a question before you leave? Do you mind if we just break the protocol here for a second?
he breaking on protocol leaving.
So 2 seconds. Anything going on with O'Reilly's? Have they contacted you in any way, shape, or form?
They're just waiting for the state.
Okay. So that's what we're waiting on the
We've got
state.
permits,
Okay.
got everything in place. Once he gets the okay from the state, they're gonna start right in.
Okay, sounds good. And if I'm reading this correctly, Verizon's all set now?
Verizon,
No,
not yet.
no.
Not yet. They're working with the alarm company. They gotta put some strobes and some lights in there.
Okay.
Fire chief's letter has not been received because they have not complied yet.
Okay, all right. So we just gotta finish up the fire alarm stuff.
Yeah, it's all in. They just gotta put a couple of strobes in.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. That's it. Thanks.
That's it.
Did you give them another temporary?
No, sir. He's working on that one temporary.
Yeah, but the temporary was 45 days, Steve.
Yeah.
I don't want to, I'm not ready, I'm just asking.
I'll take care of that.
That's your department, so.
Yes, sir.
So why are you asking in this meeting?
Because it was one of the things that he brought to us so that we could okay their conditional use.
Steve, sorry I asked.
Yeah, go, it's your fault, go.
I'll leave too. Steve, hold up, I'm coming with you.
Good night.
All right, let's get back to the site report.
Okay, site inspection.
This is one that we had in, right?
For this site inspection report, do we want to identify how much material is planned to be expected or excavated or not? Is that really?
They report the amount of gravel to the selectmen every year.
As per their
Yeah.
actual permit.
Basically, all I'm really interested in, to be honest with you, is that they're in compliance with what you're doing, which is right check.
Excavation
They don't
requirements.
get their reclamation, make sure they're doing
You take
that.
the excavation things back.
And, if it looks good, I just tell the board it's good.
Yeah.
So I don't think we quite need quite as much information. they're
No,
asking
no,
for.
I was just asking as a clarification and understanding myself.
Because,
That makes sense.
You want to look here,
Jim,
you want to look at that?
Oh, yeah, that would be good.
That's that's their intent.
And this goes through the selectmen's
The
office.
selectmen
Yeah.
have to sign that.
Oh, so this is, in essence, is no different than the intent to cut forms that they already.
Correct.
Close,
I got
yes.
you, I got you. Yep.
It's close, but I mean,
Essentially the
Takes
same
more.
type of information, yeah.
correct.
Okay, no, I'm good with that. Thank you.
And what we have to do is, because of, let's think of this first, and then I'll go back to that.
that is us, but anyways, another thing I was gonna say is where we've got this rule here we've been missing for a while, they have to file every 2 years. That's half the work right there anyways. So basically, inspect what's going on, make sure they're not digging holes they're not supposed to be, and make sure they're not over acreage or any spillage or anything, basically.
Will I make a motion that we approve this?
I just had one question down at the bottom where you have the date line. Will that be the date that the actual inspection is performed, or the date that the form is actually filled out?
On the bottom,
Yeah,
You want me to fill this out anyways?
that's the date that
the actual
Roy would be
inspection.
signing it, the inspection.
Okay, so that's the date the inspection actually occurs. Okay,
Make a motion that we accept
I make a
the
motion.
excavation site inspection report as drafted to be a working document for us.
I'll second that motion.
Made and seconded, any discussions? All those in
All
favor?
we need is duplicating it.
And these will be held on file in our files for planning board, okay?
Yeah. All
Pretty much on file in the other papers, I'm trying to say, I think a
right.
general
No, it
inspection would be
isn't.
easier.
No, it isn't.
You got copies right there, right, with the elected, the intent, right? You showed him them.
Yes, so we are required to inspect the pits once a year.
I understand that.
And we have to make a report according to the RSA,
Right.
a written report.
I'm gonna need a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get you a bunch as soon as it's been approved.
I think it was just approved, I just got outvoted.
Here you go, Roy, I got some right here for you.
All those in favor? Motion carries.
Just a
Those
stain,
opposed?
that's all.
Opposed?
A stain. Don't make no difference, I'm stuck with it either way, so it works.
Okay, special use notification.
You did that on purpose.
What did I do on purpose?
This extra paperwork.
No, he didn't.
No, I didn't, it's required.
It's been in the drawer. Now that we're going.
That's a good place for it, too.
Now that we're going over these now and getting an understanding of what's required
What
to
is
monitor these,
Kept.
We're getting them updated, basically.
Well, no, we're,
not so much updated, but going forward, following the laws.
Implementing whatever the, right.
well,
But I mean, we're updating the forms if
This
necessary.
is nothing new.
because we were, Westford Shores, Valley Point, took up a lot of our time over the last 2 years.
So we didn't have time to,
And now we have a little time, we're trying to catch up on,
administrative stuff.
not administrative stuff, but stuff has changed.
Okay.
The outlook that we had before, as you can see in what we've already revised, this is the next step. We came to earth regulations, okay? All of a sudden, we find these two pieces of paper that we were never doing because Pat never, all the time I've been here, Pat's never presented any of these
Oh, I see
things.
what you're saying.
Not a single one?
Not a single one of them.
So these were all existing requirements that we're just making sure they're implemented.
We never knew, as a board,
Yep.
we never knew.
Okay.
Now, Laura's gone through and we're doing this and everything. We're finding this stuff, and we're gonna find more.
Oh, I think this is a great idea too.
So, as we come across it, we are correcting previous mistakes.
Because this was January 2009, this
Going
form
on the
originally
excavation
rolled
Right.
out.
Exactly.
And I've never seen this form.
Right.
Nobody has. Pete, nobody has. You know, so. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, I've been on the board since 10. I've never seen it.
We all went out together as a planning board, if you remember.
Right, to do site, to do.
Do those inspections, I know.
Yeah, and then Ski up the idea, just one person ought to do it, so everybody's showing up.
Well, see, under the RSA, Roy,
I think he gets caught.
either the planning board can schedule the whole board go, or they
Or
can
that's
appoint a
what Steve brought up.
representing agent.
Congratulations again, on your appointment.
Somebody's on my deaf side, I missed something. Do me a playback, would you? I missed something.
All right, special use permit notification. Do we have one of these for site plan too?
Yeah, she made.
This is for special use notification. But do we have one for a site plan too?
This must be like they wanted to do up there too, the other side of town, the bands and stuff that we got stuck with from the selectmen.
No, this is just to the board, This is not,
But for what type of permits?
special use permit. I'm asking if we had one for a site plan too.
A site plan notification?
Yeah, just like this, that we would send to the different,
That would be helpful, I think, so that, for example, the selectmen, the zoning board, all have record of it, of us doing a site plan review.
They do. When I do a notice of decision, copies of it go to all the various departments.
As opposed to a form like this.
As opposed to a.
this is
I
for,
gotcha.
yeah, but this is for the application, so it's notified prior.
Oh, that I don't.
Application. So,
Why would you need it?
No.
Basically, just to notify the other entities.
the other boards, this is just to notify the other boards that we're having this hearing on such and such a day. And basically, it's in the paper the same way, but
Mhm.
Oh, it's
It's
usually
in the
on the
paper,
agenda.
it's
It's usually
posted
on
on
the
the
agenda,
boards.
isn't it?
The webpage.
It's already out there, I think, pretty much.
This was just another form I came across. It's up to you on whether you want to utilize it or not.
Nothing was on computer back quite a while ago. You had to have this paper. Now it's all on computers, on the notices. I don't think we need this one.
well, according to this Article 20, the Ossipee zoning ordinance says that we have to notify them.
I'm all for it.
It's in the ordinance.
In the ordinance,
We gotta do it then?
Yeah.
well, wait a minute, let me look it up and see.
I don't see anything on the thing here, it's a ordinance or anything.
I think this is just implying that the special use permit falls under.
Right there.
Article 20.
So for special use, we not only have a permit application, but we have a permit notification. Two different documents. Which makes sense.
But didn't she just say you already notify everybody now, don't you?
No, we don't.
When you do.
Now, when I notify everybody, it's after the fact.
Yeah.
This
After
is
the vote.
beforehand.
Right.
20.3.3, upon acceptance of a completed special use permit application, the planning board shall transmit one copy of each to the Board of Selectmen, Fire Department, Zoning Board of Adjustment, and Conservation Committee for their written recommendations.
We need a bigger budget for stamps.
So,
Email.
we're going,
Can we legally email something like this, or we have to mail it?
No, email's acceptable.
Can she incorporate a form on a computer and fill it and send it in an email form? Is that legal?
Absolutely.
Yes.
it's legal, yeah.
It certainly is.
Yeah.
I'd make a motion, we do it that way, if that would work for the board.
Well, the problem is like you have West Ossipee, the chief said of Mondays.
But the email will still be there when it gets there.
Yeah, I know that,
Yeah.
but
And notices would all go
Well,
out.
the mail's don't get there, and if the mail gets there Thursday, you still ain't gonna read it till Monday.
Notices will
no
go
different.
out when I do a butter letters for each of the cases.
Right.
Or whenever we have a special use
so, do you feel that you can do it by email for these 5 departments. I mean, three of them, two of them, you just hand the chairman a.
That's true. That's true.
Well, I got the motion
You got
out
the
there,
zoning
so
rep.
if she's agreeable,
And
then
the
you
zoning
second it.
officer, you can hand them that, so,
It's just basically the selectmen and the fire department.
yeah.
And we can always give the copy to the selectmen rep.
You want to second the motion?
I'll second the motion.
Well, I would like to amend that,
Okay, I'll withdraw my second.
that if possible, it's sent out by email, but if not, notification shall be by mail.
I'll add that to that, that'll work.
I'll second it.
That way it's both,
That's
covered
good,
both
yep.
ways.
No, that's good.
And we have discussion anymore. No? All those in favor? Motion carries. And the last one.
It's basically for the, like the big businesses like Town Street can put in gravel pits or what?
No, this is for the permit itself.
For gravel pit.
This is a permit.
Yeah.
Under the RSA, we may charge $50, up to $50, after the application has been accepted and granted. And then there is a $50 under a present law, present statute that we run. They are charged $50 for the permit itself. And this is what that permit entails.
Mm-hmm.
So they're already doing this then?
No, we haven't been doing it. Because Laura, when we put the application fees up, and Laura and I were going over, because she thought that they had to reapply every 2 years, and she and I got into a discussion. And this came up under RSA 155,
And E10 or something.
something like that. And it says every 2 years, and it also says under permitting, $50 shall be can charge up to $50
Not
for the
exceeding
permit.
50.
Yeah, but it was every 2 years, the state changed it to every 6 years.
No.
They must have forgot to pull this out.
No, there is no time limit of, in an RSA to say how long a permit is valid.
It's within the town's excavation regulations,
Right.
It
where it says 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it also says every 2 years that you, 155.10, I think it is. Way after the application, et cetera.
Oh, yeah.
Technically, this permit is supposed to be encased in a waterproof and put on the property.
Right.
You read in there.
Yep. Similar to a building permit, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That, I believe that's in, if I remember correctly, it says it's the entrance or something.
Interesting. You read 155E10, did you?
That's what I'm reading now.
Ski said I had no authority at all, just report to the board.
You
told me wrong.
can't, no, you can't shut anybody down. The whole board has to shut them down.
Right.
Reread that, it says regulator, appointed regulator.
You are not an appointed regulator.
What am I?
You are an appointed inspector. There's a
And
difference.
it covered that too.
You have to bring it back to the board. The board is the regulator.
Right.
Yes.
You
I was
are
just kidding about the badge, Roy.
You're just a representative.
It's gotta be a small one.
Getting smaller all the time, right, Pete?
I ain't how I write, but that's all right.
Well, how you took me?
I lost a bit, like 55 to 10. It says a regular or duly authorized agent, that's what you made. It doesn't say board.
Well,
The
but there's,
regulator is the board, if you go into definitions. The board is the regulator.
But also, it says or duly appointed agent is what you made me. Read that.
so the question is, if he identifies a violation of any of the provisions of the permit, can he,
The way that's wrote, I got the
Revoke
right to
the
shut it
permit.
down if it's necessary. I wouldn't unless it's really
does
necessary.
he have the authority to revoke the permit if he sees a violation in the terms of the permit?
According to that.
Or does he have to come back and bring it before the entire planning board?
Not according to that.
Well, it depends on whether.
It says or.
Yes, yes.
It doesn't say may or whatnot.
Yeah, but you're not acting as a duly authorized agent by this board.
Then what the hell are you calling me then?
An
An
inspector.
inspector.
That's the same thing.
No, it's not.
Because it's one or the other you appoint.
Let me get this straight so I understand this, and I think this is the question Roy's probably asking, if I'm not mistaken. Don't let me put words in your mouth, Roy, but if you go out and you find that somebody has an excavation permit and the excavation they're doing is in violation to the terms of the permit, you can't pull his permit. You have to come back to the board and have the
You
entire
know what kind
board
of
vote on
damage you
it.
can have in 2 weeks?
What's that?
You know what kind of damage you can do
Well,
in
that's,
this way in
I'm
2
asking the
weeks?
question. I'm asking the question.
As it says, you're basically, I'm an agent. You're an inspector, you're an agent, same damn thing.
I don't think.
Yeah, and I come across a violation a couple of years ago that they fixed right away because they let somebody up in the pit with the backhoe, instead of taking out the bank, they dug in the water table. And if I had not found it, and I had not corrected it, and had not fixed it, it'd been 2 weeks they've been digging out there. You know what kind of mess you'd have had? The board can't pull it except at a meeting.
Same way with your timber.
You're a regulator, you
Yeah.
can, or you're agent.
Yeah, you're
It's the
right.
Same way with your timber
Tim-
monitor,
yeah, your
because
timber agent,
if you
yeah.
go out and find a violation, if you wait till you,
Yeah, but the timber monitor
the-
has no authority.
He has to report back to some other.
He has to call the
No,
ranger.
he has to call the state.
Right, so in this case,
damage is done.
do we have the potential for providing that authority to Roy as the inspector to at least cease and desist, not maybe, well, it says pull the permit, withdraw the permit. If they're not,
I would-
if
I
they're
would-
violating the terms
I
of
would
the
make a
permit.
motion that our duly appointed inspector, upon any severe violations, reports back to the board before any such action is
Well,
taken.
but let's hear me out.
If you have no, I think,
Roy made a
One
good
at a
point.
time, one at a time.
Roy made a good point that, he goes out there on a Monday morning and happens to, well, pardon me, but maybe not Monday morning, Tuesday afternoon, and finds, that the excavation is not being done in accordance with the terms of the permit, and we've got another week and a half. There's nothing that's gonna keep that guy from continuing to do what he's not supposed to be doing until we meet and decide, which creates a bigger problem potentially for us as a board, as well as the excavator himself.
I completely understand and.
right now, they
that
all think. I'm
sentiment,
dumping
but I would
authority.
say that, our sole purpose of assigning someone to go out and inspect the pits was to get the information back to the board. It wasn't for them to be acting in an official capacity for the board.
Well, it says he may suspend or
Not
revoke
the
the
way it
permit.
was put to me when I started.
Why don't you find out if you can act in that way?
Right there, it says I
Well, and it
can.
gives him two options. It gives us two options in the
Right
RSA.
there.
It says suspend or revoke. We could certainly give Roy the authority to suspend, but not revoke. In other words, he would have to stop his excavation until,
Till he comes before the board.
to tell us why he isn't in compliance.
Which would lead us to a lawsuit.
Right. Maybe we ought to have Steve,
Steve is your zoning officer.
no, we ought to
Steve
have.
does not have that.
No,
kind of
no,
authority.
I'm saying,
Sorry, RSA.
have, our
One
town
at a
attorney-
time, please.
I'm sorry.
What more?
If you would all refer to your excavation regulations that I've given you,
Page?
page 14, section 8.2, under inspections, it tells you what the inspector or the representing agent is allowed to do.
Okay. Page 14.
Page 14, section 8.2, specifically D.
Uh-huh.
See, it says
Not that one, Roy,
page 14,
this one.
Yeah.
the new one.
Yeah,
I got too many of them here.
that's it.
No, that's like, there it is, page 14.
Page is at the top.
The key to this, regulator or duly authorized agent shall make at a minimum a scheduled annual inspection.
Mhm.
C addresses an unscheduled.
Right, that's if he feels that there is some violation that is not gonna be determined during his annual inspection.
Correct.
It says it in a minute.
Where does the schedule come from? Annual thing. It's in the state regulation, you got a right to pop in any time.
Well, that's what C tells you, you can do an unscheduled inspection at any time, you know, with just cause.
The
based
state-
upon-
It's in the RSA.
Yeah,
And the state says that's a very gray area of us going on without the landowner's permission.
At this point, got all the permission, but.
Mary Bacon said that, oh, you can't do that.
Well, because she wants all authority to herself.
Well, you know, I'm
I asked her about that one time I talked to her, I said, why we have these regulations, she couldn't answer that.
no, she can't.
So,
Then he has to
until she can tell me why
professional
we can't, I got a problem with
town
that.
law.
it says may.
All right. And that,
Anyways, what I was getting to was in D, if he comes across during an inspection something that's not right, instead of pulling the permit, he's allowed to contact a qualified professional
correct.
who would come in and probably do that.
And that's at the
He
expense of
can't,
the-
no, the professional could come in and give a professional
assessment.
opinion of what it is, but the board still has the authority to stop the permit. He would have to report to the
You
board.
got it right.
Mhm.
The word may is, so.
Yeah.
Well,
I think it's,
No,
I think
it
it's,
says he may,
yeah,
Right.
and it's clearly
Hey.
defined here in these A, B, C, and D.
right, he may,
Yeah.
so not he shall,
He may.
he may.
That's under Roy's discretion if he
So, right.
finds, right.
Right.
If he's not sure, he can contact at the applicant's expense an engineer to come in and identify the conditions and identify whether there is a compliance issue or not.
All right, this permit is under 155E
Yes.
8.
8.
Well, maybe we should do what Martha
Yeah,
just
yeah.
suggested. If it can fall into his hands to do it, we'll give him that authority. Just check on it. And we avoid all this other stuff.
He has the authority to call in a professional.
No,
It to pull the permit?
Yeah. I wouldn't pull it, they make it come before the board. Just tell them to stop, let's talk to the board during the, it definitely one hell of a serious violation.
You have two options based upon the language in the RSA and in our guidelines, that you can either,
But if you don't, if they don't think you get any teeth, they're not gonna pay any attention.
suspend or revoke is the language of the permit. So you can either suspend, which means basically yes to stop, or revoke if you,
Just suspend is all I'd ever do if I
But
had to.
Martha gave the example, you said the timber monitor. Timber monitor cannot shut down a logging job,
uncut, right,
That's a totally different set of rules.
that's right.
right.
But,
In this case, we have the authority granted us by the
Uh,
RSA.
well,
To do
under the
just
logging, the ranger is the authority.
Right,
Under the mining, we are the
right,
authority.
right. And if we make Roy the duly
And-
authorized agent, so to speak, he then has the capability of either suspending or revoking the permit.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but getting back to my earlier motion, is there anything in there that states that we have to give them all that authority? Can you not just make
No.
the inspections? No. So Roy could ask,
Basically, we wrote the authorities there.
May.
correct, but
It
this
doesn't
board.
say may, it said, it
Yeah,
said.
I'm not talking about that, Roy. What I'm saying is this board can create a position and give you certain powers, and then that's it.
That's correct, that's not defined in the RSA.
Correct. So we can have it as, he can suspend someone, but if there's no revoking or anything like that until it's brought before the board.
Well, my suggestion is that if he does find what he thinks is a violation, in other words, if he goes in, the guy's digging, and all of a sudden he's got water 2 feet down, the regulations say 5 feet over high water.
Mhm.
He can tell him, hey, that's wrong. Correct it now and come in front of the next planning board meeting and explain.
Yeah.
And if the guy doesn't, he just says, well, screw you, I'm not gonna do it. Then he's got the authority to call Mary Pinkham. And Mary Pinkham will have to come over and shut him down.
Who is Mary Pinkham?
She's the woman that runs the gravel,
Maybe become
Langley or something.
Oh, okay.
And why they
Langton.
Why they bother put that
For the
language in
town.
the book for the
That's
board?
for the town?
The town
You
can
can't
call
get
them
everything
in.
in the book, Roy. I mean, you know, and there are some things that are left to the discretion of the board, so we can do what we wanna do, you know?
I like that approach. I think that's the appropriate approach, because now Roy has the capability of identifying and, you know.
I mean, it's gotta be a blatant
Yes, yeah,
infraction that,
I agree.
All I'm saying, if it's a real blatant infraction, the rules are there.
Yep, yep.
I'd never revoke a permit anyways. The worst I would wanna do is suspend them on the spot so it can't go any further.
Right, and then,
If you call her Mary Pinkham, she may not get up for a day or two, she may get up there right away.
right,
You don't know.
right.
Because, you know, I've always known I can call Mary Pinkham. I've had no major problems. I had one minor one once. And like I said, somebody went up in the backhoe and didn't do what they were supposed to, and the owner was not aware of it, even though he's responsible. And I had him repair it right away. Says, you know, I'll be back in 2 days. If it's not repaired, you're going before the board.
I got you. And then,
You know, I'm fair about
On that,
stuff.
yeah.
I'm not a dumb.
No,
I've been doing this for a lot of years.
hear what you
don't
say,
want
Roy.
A lot of
I'm
authority
agreeing with
coming
you.
on my butt. I'm not gonna do it to somebody else. But they need to know there's some teeth there so that if there is a major infraction, that I can do something about it right away.
no,
That's all.
I think that's.
And my intention is not anything to do with you, Roy, it is that we have a clear definition of what our appointed agent / inspector, what authority he has going
Right.
forward, because it's not gonna be you in 10 years.
Well, I understand that, and the board has a right every year when they reappoint me or somebody else to set the definitions.
Mhm.
So your definition is set every time. It's not concrete.
That could be true too, yeah.
Sure.
This is a yearly appointment.
Did we set
I just
any
want enough
definitions
teeth
this
to
year?
make sure that I can do the job, because I don't, I do a lot for this town, I don't be wasting my time. I mean, I do a lot with the cemeteries, I do a lot of driving around the gravel pits, I'm on 3 different boards now. I don't mind doing it.
Did you
Somebody's
get
gonna
a
do it.
second, be honest?
No.
You didn't get it, you didn't get a second.
No.
Well, and our regulations also give our agent the authority to amend the permit too, which, that's that next section in your,
I wouldn't amend the permit, I just tell them come before the board.
Yeah.
Does it say agent or regulator?
regulator, I'm sorry.
Regulator is the board,
Right, right.
not,
So we have the authority to
The
modify.
board, the
permit.
board is a regulator.
Right.
I would be
Gotcha.
the agent or whatnot.
Right.
the
Okay.
agent of the regulator,
Right.
or inspector, whatever you wanna call it. Any more discussion on it? We have no motion, so. But the excavation permit is under 155E8.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
it's- and that's what this
Right.
is. I make a motion that we make this a permanent permit.
The form.
Excavation permit. I'll second that.
Okay.
We have to have it anyways, right?
Yes?
Yeah,
So,
I mean, it was okay back in '09, and I'd never seen it brought before us.
We're only 8 years behind the curve, we're okay.
I don't remember being here in '09, I've been here 10 years.
So,
9 years,
I'm on my 10th year.
almost 9.
motion is made, seconded, all those in favor? Motion carries. I would like to make a motion that Laura add a page to the earth excavation and reclamation regulations which list these forms so that when we go to do a application that we know.
I'll second that.
Were there any significant changes between the '08 version of this and today's version?
She's a little sticky.
Oh, okay, I can't, yeah, I got it.
So, I mean, that way,
Mhm.
when we go to do a
Site plan,
permitting
yeah.
it, we know that A, they have to have the application, B, they have to have the permit,
Right.
C, that they have to, every 2 years, give us an update on their reclamation ends. And, I guess those 3, right?
Site inspection. Report.
Right.
Right.
Been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor? Motion carries. Spring conference, which is Saturday the 28th. I know Martha's gonna run right down there, aren't you, Martha?
No, no.
Okay, hold on one second. You made a motion to have a page added to the regulations, correct? But we weren't approving the regulations.
No.
Okay.
No. I would like everybody to read the
Regulations.
regulations in the
Subdivision regulations.
subdivision regulations draft and,
And I painstakingly
keep
took
thinking
a
about the
year to
master
do.
plan.
I took a look at our old one and I I gotta say, Laura, I will congratulate you on your task. I know it's been a daunting task finding your way, not just through this document, but, you know, all of the work that you've done so far. You're going to make our job a bit easier. So, thank you.
Make a motion that we adjourn, unless
Second.
there is, unless somebody else has something to bring up. No, Ed, you're quiet tonight. Motion made, seconded, all those in favor? Motion carries. Jim did.
What's that?
No, Roy did.
Roy second.
Second of all, so adjourned.
Laura, you won't reissue this?